and welcome to Easy Math channel. This week we will discuss about solid figures, and they are also known as three-dimensional figures. We'll concentrate on finding surface areas for a couple of solid figures, and if you remember or if you can recollect, the basic solid figures that we usually come across are cube. This is a cube, a rectangular solid, and a cylinder. Now, before we jump into understanding each of these solid figure, there are some basic terms that we need to focus on. So first is face, second is edge, and then we'll learn what is a vertex, and then we'll learn what's a base. Okay, cool. So let's just take cube as our example and try to define each of these terms. So a face is nothing but a flat surface. So if you look at each face, it looks like more a two-dimensional figure. So this is one face, this front face, and then back to on top is 3, on the side is 4, this bottom is 5, and then this 2 is the behind one, and then on this side is the 6. So these are all the faces. The second term is edge. So edge is nothing but all these lines where two faces meet each other. So for example, this line is where this face and this face meets. This line is where this face and the top face meets. Cool. The next term is called a vertex. So vertex is nothing but these points, all these points where more than two faces meet. So for example, this point, we have this surface, this face, then we have this face, then we have the one behind the front face. So three faces meet, so more than two faces meets, and all these points are our vertex. And base is nothing but this bottom where the solid figure rests. So in this case, this would be the face number 5. And the same concept applies to a rectangular solid as well. So we have face, this is 1, and then top is 2, the side is 3, this side is 4, the bottom is 5th, and the one behind is 6th. And all these lines are called edges. The vertex are these points, and the base is where the solid figure rests. So this bottom part is the base. Now you must be thinking about what's the difference between a cube and a rectangular solid. Well, a cube is kind of a rectangular solid. The only exception is each of this side measures the same, whereas in rectangular solid, this can be different, this can be different, and this can be different. But whereas in cube, all these sides or all these edges measures the same, and in rectangular solid it need not be. Cool. So we will look into each of these solid figures, and we'll look at the formula, and we'll go over some examples to how to calculate a surface area for a cube, a surface area for a rectangular solid, and a surface area of cylinder. Cool. So let's jump into the first, which is a cube. And let's say this side is called length, which is also L. This is our width, also called as W. and this is our height, also h. So given that we know length, width, and height, we can calculate surface area as 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. So it's 2 times this and that, length and width, plus 2 times length and height, plus 2 times width and height. And if you look at this formula closely, you can see that length appears twice, width appears twice, and then height appears twice. And that's how you calculate the surface area of a cube. For a rectangular solid, if you remember from a while back, we talked about the cube is nothing but kind of a rectangular solid, but each side weighs have the same measure. Well, rectangular solid have a different measure, but the way of calculating surface area is still the same. So it's 2 times length, which is L, width is W, height is H. So it's 2 times length plus width plus 2 times length plus height and plus 2 times width plus height. And again, if you focus on the formula, you can see length appears twice, width appears twice, and height appears twice. So that's again another way of remembering the formula. So you need to make sure that 2 is in every term, and then each term, which is length, width, and height, appears 2 times in your formula. Cool. And the third figure is called a cylinder, and you can see why is it called a cylinder, because of its shape. You can see that on the top of a cylinder and on the bottom of a cylinder, it's a circular shape, and then it's just wrapped around, kind of a figure. This is called a radius, which is also called R. And if you remember from your class about circle, any point from the center of the circle to the surface of the circle is called radius, and any line, say for example this line, that passes through the center but touches on each side of the circle is also called as diameter. This is just extra information. And diameter, also D, is 2 times of radius. But for the cylinder, we don't need to know about this. This is just extra information. Anyway, so this is the radius for a cylinder, and this is the height. Assume this is the height, which is h, and this is the radius. The surface area of cylinder can be calculated as 2 pi r square, where pi is 3.14, or you can just leave your answer in just pi terms. So the surface area of cylinder is nothing but 2 pi r square plus 2 pi times radius times height. This is kind of tricky formula to remember, but if you kind of write it down a couple of times, I'm sure you'll be fine to memorize this formula. So again, it's 2 pi r square plus 2 pi r into h, where r is radius and h is height. Cool. So with this, let's solve problem for each of these solid figures. So let's jump into calculating surface area for a cube. Let's say we know that the length is 4, the width is 4, and the height is 4 for a given cube. So we know, let's say length is 4, height is 4, and width is 4 for a given cube. So the way we can calculate surface area of cube is 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. So if we put on the values for length, width, and height, we get 2 times 4 times 4 plus 2 times 4 times 4, oops, plus 2 times 4 times 4. So this is nothing but 32 plus 32, this is 32, this is 32, and then plus 32, and this is 96. So the surface area of cube is 96. If, let's say, if all of this were in inches, so this would be 96 inch cube. Or you can just say, instead of inch cube, you can also say cubic inch. Why cubic? Because inch, it's multiplied or 3 times, that's why. So this is how we calculate the surface area of a cube. So for in this case, everything was 4, we just substitute the value and we get 96. Cool. The second example, let's look at how to calculate surface area of a rectangular solid. Let's say the length, or L, is 10. So this is 10. The width is 2 and the height is 5. So let me just write down width is 2 and height is 5. So again, using the same formula, we'll have to just replace L, W, and H with its actual value. So length 2 times, oops, so 2 times length 10 times width is 2 plus 2 times length 10 times height, which is 5, plus 2 times width, which is 2, times height, which is 5, oops, 5. So if we solve this, we get 40 plus 2 times 50, 100, plus 10 times 2, 20. And if we add all this, we get 160. So it's pretty simple. For a given rectangular solid or for a cube, the formula remains the same. All we have to do is replace length, width, and height with the actual value. So in this case, if we replace length with 10, width with 2, and height with 5, we get 160. Cool. Let's do one example for a cylinder. And you just have to memorize this formula. It's trickier to memorize it initially, but after a while you'll get hang of it. So let's say for a given cylinder, radius is 3 and let's say height is 16. So if we replace radius and height with the actual value, we get 2 times pi times r square, which is 3 square, plus 2 pi times r, which is 3, times height, which is 16. And if we solve this, we get 3 square is 9, 9 times 2 is 18 pi, plus 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 16 is 96 pi. And if we add 18 pi plus 96 pi, we get 114 pi. We can leave the answer in just terms of pi, or if you want, you can further go ahead and multiply 114 times 3.14, and then you get, let me quickly solve it on my calculator. You get 357.96. It's also okay to leave in just terms of pi, but if required, you can just replace pi value with 3.14. And in this case, for a given cylinder with radius 3 and height 16, we get the surface area of cylinder as 357.96. Cool. So I hope this video was useful and was helpful for you to understand how to calculate surface area for a cube, for a rectangular solid, and for a cylinder. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel Easy Math, and please leave your comments below. And in the next video we will look at how to calculate volume of different solid figures. So again, for a cube, for a rectangular solid, for a cylinder, and maybe for a pyramid. So I will be uploading that video shortly. Hope you like this video again, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.